Today we're going to be drawing a ninja on your iPad in Procreate. Thank you for joining me, everyone. We're going to be doing things a little bit different than we've done in the past today. Today, instead of doing our hardline shading, we're going to attempt some blended shading. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But let's begin by making our canvas. So hit your little plus sign here on top. And we're going to do the 1080 by 1080 square that we normally do. Okay, I got that. And if you don't have that, you can make your own canvas. If you don't know how to do that, I'll show you real quick. Hit the little plus up here. I've set up a custom Instagram canvas where I can just push it right there. But if you don't have a 1080 by 1080, all you do is hit this little plus right there, and then you'll get this screen here, and you can type in your pixel sizes at whatever you want. The bigger the pixel size, depending on the type of iPad that you have, the less layers that you'll be able to do. So if you do this huge 4,000 by 4,000 pixel canvas, you'll have 9 or 10. I'm using a regular iPad. A Pro will have much more than that. So it just depends on what you got. But then you just hit create again, and it will make a new canvas at those sizes that you put in. So we've already got that. Let's get into this. Down in the description section of the video, I have given you a link where you can go and download all of the things that you will need to do this tutorial, which includes the brushes that I use, the color palette that I use, and also I will give you 2 different kinds of sketches like I've done in the past. So it will adapt to whatever level you are. So let me show you real quick about what I'm talking about with that. If you have no skill at all, you're a beginner, you just want to try to trace it or something, just get kind of the hang of this, what you can do is you can go into the little wrench icon here, and you can insert a photo. And I've given you 2 photos right here, one with grid lines and one without. If you have no experience, you can load up the one with no grid lines, and then you just have your sketch. You don't have to resize it or anything. The sketch is exactly the same size as the canvas that we made 1080 by 1080. So you just hit the little arrow there, and then it'll be loaded in there. And this puts this on a separate layer. There's your layer right there. And then what you can do is you can just type that to make a new layer, drag that under your sketch there. And then what you can do is you can hit the N here, turn the opacity down on that layer of the sketch. Close that out and go back to our layer 2 here. Make sure I did that right. Yep. Okay. And then you can just start sketching him out, and you can just trace the lines if you want to just practice. And go to our Inker Streamline here, and then you can just trace over it and kind of get some ideas of how to do that. So that's for a basic beginner. If you have a little bit more skill, or you've been drawing for a while, what you can do, let's clear this one out here. I'm going to hit clear, and then instead of loading a photo in, what we're going to do is we're going to hit the wrench icon again here, and go to canvas, and the reference button right here. Turn that on, hit your image, import an image, and then we're going to import that one with the grid lines on it. Okay, and then you'll have it here on the side, and you can resize it however you like. The grid lines are set up to be 272 by 272 pixels. So if you want to turn on the drawing guides on your canvas to match your reference photo here, go up to the wrench again, go to drawing guide, turn that on, edit your drawing guide. I usually like to turn the opacity all the way up and the thickness all the way up. It just depends on you. And then the grid size here. So we want to go to 272. And if you find it hard to get right on 272, you can just tap on the number there and you can type it right in and hit done. And now, hit done again up here. Now, our canvas lines and the canvas lines on our reference photo are exactly the same. So then what you can do is you can look, and you can going to go to our sketching pencil here, and I'm going to give you this. And then now you can see his little hoodie comes up about right there. So you can start right here, and you want to end up. So you can kind of give yourself a reference point about right here. And then we're going to come up about right here. So see, you can kind of match it, and that'll help you draw it. That'll give kind of an intermediate level. And then if you have a lot of experience, what you can do is instead of loading the grid lines up, you can just load up the sketch with no grid lines into the reference photo here, have you a blank canvas, and just look at it over here and put it in over on the canvas yourself. It kind of gives you kind of 3 levels to what you can choose, whichever one best fits your skill. All right, let's continue with our sketch here. So I want to bring his hoodie down to about right there, so you can see that point right there. And we're going to just bring it over here. All right. And we're going to come down to about right here. And you can round it up if you want. This is just going to be our sketch, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Do it like that. So I called him a little ninja, but I guess he could also be a Ezio from Assassin's Creed to kind of match. Okay, we're going to come down about right here. Get that part. This is going to come to about here. Bring that about right there. No, I'm way off. You see right here? I got it coming in right here, and then up here it's coming in way up here. So I want to fix that. Me coming in over here. Okay, and then the zipper is going to be about right here. And then this part's going to connect under here. That's good. And let's continue this one over there. I'm going to erase this. Oops, got to put it back on the pencil. Right there. All right, now I'm getting a little bit better on the grid lines here. I'm going to come up to about right there. I'm going to bring it down. Be around there. Then his face. There. Mask. Up around his nose. Okay. His eyes. All right, and little nose, mouth. Okay, so we got the head done. Get the body in. Okay. Down to about right there. I'm a little bit off here, you can see. But this is our sketch. It don't really matter. We can fix this up, and I'll show you another way we can resize it once you get it all done. So a hand here, another hand here, and this pencil. Yeah, I'm gonna have to scrunch this guy up. I have not proportioned it. The reason, if I took my time, I could do it a lot better, but I don't want to make the video like, over an hour long, because it's just, people just don't have the attention span to do that. What I'm going to do is hit that arrow there, and then I can put it on freeform. I'm going to scrunch him up a little bit. Resize him. And then I can look at my guide here and see if I can match it up a little bit better. Yeah, I think that's better. So that's the really neat thing about digital drawing, is you can manipulate your photo much better, or your picture much better than you can on traditional media. Okay, and then I'm going to have his bottom of his hoodie there. We have the zipper. Come down to about right there. Couple of strings. And that's it. That's good. Okay, so let's get started on our inking now. So go back to your layer section here. This is our sketch. We're going to hit your little M there. That's why it wasn't dark. Look at there. I had the opacity still down. So I'm going to put the blending mode to multiply here. And then we're going to take the opacity down, so we can just barely see it. And then we're going to do a new layer here. And this is going to be our lines. And you can rename this. Hit rename and scribble on that out. And just call it line. Okay. Palette I gave you is a Ninja. We're going to start with the black. And we're going to do the Inker Streamliner here, Chamel Inker Streamliner. And this is a weighted brush, and weighted brush means that the pressure that you push down on the pen will make it either fatter or thinner. So, for example, light pressure, pushing harder and harder and harder, and then letting up again. You can see it goes thick to thin. This will give us that cartoon kind of feel to it. Okay, let's get our inking done. So, I'm going to do this part right here first. Another thing that I like to do is pick a place that you want your light coming from. I'm going to do it from the top left here, top left corner. And what I like to do on the weighted lines is do thinner lines that are closer to the light, and then thicker lines that are away from the light. So keeping that in mind. Like that. And try again. If you two-finger tap, you can undo what you just did. And I'm going to put my glove on to help me slide and not push anything that I shouldn't be pushing. All right, we're going to come down over here. Away from the light, it's going to be thicker over here. So you can see thin here, thicker over here. And another thing, if you didn't like, if it's kind of squiggly, you didn't like the way you did it, you can hold your pen down, and it's going to make you can kind of drag it and make a perfect circle where you wanted it. And also you can hit edit, and then you can move it even more. So again, this is the thing about digital art. You can manipulate your lines like you couldn't do on traditional media. You'd have to erase it and do it again. So that's a hoodie. Okay, that's good enough. Let's come down. I want to go from here to about there. Actually, he's kind of in the middle there, so I'm going to erase that about to there. Maybe there, we'll fix that. Okay, and then we're going to come thicker over here. Maybe there. Okay. Let me get this face in here. Maybe right there. Okay, the mask. Okay, his little nostrils. Sometimes using the streamliner pen makes it difficult to do things quickly. You have to do it really slowly to get what you want. Sure, I like this one. That's better. And the mouth, thin to thick. Okay, let's get these eyes done. Kind of fix that. Make sure you have all your lines closed. It's really important when you go to coloring. Edit this some. There. We'll fix this. Okay. And then let's do a iris. I think it's called an iris, huh? Okay, and then over here, I'm going to do fix this right here. All right, I think that's good. If you didn't like something, you could always, like, say, I'm not too happy with this. Hit your little squiggly line there, make sure it's on freehand, and then you can draw a selection around it. And then hit the arrow. Now you can move it around. Do that. Maybe I want to make it a little bit smaller. And when you're done, just hit the arrow again. And there you go. You can move things around even after you got them in there. Okay, let's get the rest of this done. So our hoodie is right there. Zipper is going to come down to about here. Match that up. Again, make sure you get these closed and straighten up any lines that are not the way you like them. And that little lip there, you can erase that. Oops, that's too big. You can make the eraser a little smaller here. No. Here we go. Okay. And then if you want that thick to thin and you didn't do it right, you can either redo it, or you can also take the eraser. Oops, not like that. And you can get that thick to thin. Makes it look a lot better. All right, and let's get this part here. Connect those up. Okay, let's get the zipper. It's going to come down to about right here. It's good. Little strings. Do this again. I'm trying to match it better than I did on my sketch. There, and then all these little bitty lines can clean up. That eraser a little bit smaller. Clean that up. And this one. There we go. I don't like that little V shape right there, so you can fix that too. Okay, let's get our pen. You can hold your pencil down and it'll make a perfectly straight line. Connect this. Okay. Let's get this arm over here. If I wanted to get that thick to thin, just thumb and then like that. And connect that. Here's not connected, so that would be a problem when we go in to color it. Okay. Okay, I think that's good. So we got our line art done now. So now we can get busy on coloring them in. Now, here's where we're going to do things a little different this time. We're going to put the different parts of the character on different layers this time, where in the past we haven't done that. And I'm going to show you why we're going to do that. And that's going to help us to shade in a little bit easier, because we're going to do our shading a little bit different this time. So the first thing we want to do is, we don't need our sketch anymore, so you can delete that if you want. We got our line work here. We need to start a new layer and drag that under the line work. Okay, I'm going to set the line work to reference, so it'll help us color it in. And then layer 2 is going to be skin. So rename that. Put skin. And then all of our skin colors are going to be on this layer. So go to your color palette, and I gave you this in a third color over here will be our skin color. You can drag and drop that in. Make sure we're in the right layer. Yep. Oops, we didn't get something connected right there. So we're going to go back to our line again. Change the color back to black, and you can color pick if you hold your finger down on that black. Or you can do it up here. Hit black. And make sure this is closed up. Okay. Now go back to our skin. I'm going to change color back to that skin color. There we go in his hands. Okay, looks good. All right, and next, let's do a new layer. We'll leave it on top of the skin there. And this color is going to be this first color I've given you. It's not quite a black, but it's dark. We're going to fill in most everything else. A little white dot here. Color that in by hand. Something is not closed. Let's see if we can find it. Right there a bit. So again, go back to your line section again. Hold down on the black here and click, select black. That's why I told you when we were doing this, it's really important that you keep everything closed, because it really will affect you when you go to color it. I think that's better. Let's go back to our layer 3, and I didn't name it, so let's rename that to close. All right, and let's select that color again. There. Drag it and drop it. Shoes too. An easy color on this one. And then his zipper here, I'm going to do we can just keep it on the close layer. The gray. There we go. And the inside here, actually I forgot to do his eye patch. It's going to be the same color as his clothes. There we go. The inside here, I'm going to do really black. So I gave you that ultra black on that side there. And you can see it's a little bit different than the grayish black, I guess, that we got the clothes. Okay, now let's do his eyes. We want to do those on a new layer, so start a new layer. I'm going to rename it to eyes. X's, that's okay. I know what it is. And we're going to choose our brown color here. Okay, we're going to do the irises. Dark black, which this one. Okay, and then white. And it's kind of an off-white that I've given you. I'm going to fill in those parts. Okay, and then our Apple pencil here. We do the same colors as eyes. Here and here. Okay. Okay, so we got all of our color flats in. Now we're going to start the shading part. And this is where we're going to do a little bit different than we did last time. So if you've watched the other videos that I've done, we've done hard shadow lines. So for example, if I wanted to put a dark shadow over here, I'd go into black and then make a new layer for shadows on top of the clothes. And then we've done it just kind of like this. And it's kind of like cartoon shading way. And then we've just used the opacity here and turned it into kind of a shadow. Actually, go down even more on that. So about right there. And see, that's how we've done in the past. We're going to do a little bit different. That's okay too. That looks good too. But we're going to do something a little bit different today. We're going to clear that out. And we're going to start with the skin. So we're going to make a new layer on top of the skin. And this is going to be shadow. Okay. Now, I didn't give you separate colors for the shadows, and here's why. I want you guys to learn how to do this natural shading. So I am probably going to do the dark portions first. So around his face here is going to be kind of shadowed under the hoodie. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on his skin color, then hit your color up here, go to classic. Now you can see here, if you slide this bottom thing here, you can make it dark or lighter. Okay, so this will give us a darker shade or a lighter shade of the color that we're using. So I'm going to make this darker because it's going to be our shadow. Okay, and then go to the Chamel soft brush that I give you. And then what we're going to do is we're going to set the opacity to about 68, I guess, and the size to about 2. And then over here, actually, one more thing we can do is click on the layer and set it to clipping mask. And what that's going to do is it's going to only allow you to paint on top of the portion that's under it. So if we try to paint out here, it won't let us. It's only going to let us paint on the skin color. So that's helps you a lot. And also you can get some kind of shading where you really want it instead of trying to hit that line just perfectly. So dark right here. All right, and then probably going to have some dark over here. And then up around the head here too. All right, now what you're going to do, here comes the magic part. We're going to use a different tool today. We're going to use the smudging tool here, which is the little finger. And if you click on it, you can choose a brush that you want to smudge with. You can use all of the brushes that you can draw with. You can use them as smudges too. We're going to use the same brush, the Chamel soft brush, to smudge with. And I've got the opacity on it down to about 64. And the size up around to basically the same thing that we had when we were drawing on it. Now what you're going to do is lightly touch and scribble along this edge. And you can see it's starting to disappear. And it's starting to blend in. Now look at that. See how neat that looks? You can go even more. And if you go too much, the harder you push, the faster it's going to blend in. That's why I said just don't give it any pressure and just kind of go back and forth with it. And you can layer it. You can build it up more and more. But you can see how the shadows look more natural now, like a real person. And this is just another way to shade your character where it's more realistic instead of the cartoons type shading. Up here. And a little trick here, if I'm pulling from the top down, it's going to take that black and push it down here into the unshaded skin. If I push up on it, it's going to take that skin and it's going to push it up. So if I came down too low, I could start down and go up with it. And it kind of takes that flesh color up into the darker part. And if I wanted to come down farther, then I could just take the top part and come down with it. So it's kind of a directional thing, but we can fix this too with lighter shades later on. But see now how it looks kind of real? Because some people, even when cartoon shading, they'll do a really dark one, even with the hard line that we've done before. And then they'll do a second one, which is a little bit lighter than the dark one. And they'll have like multiple layers of shading. Well, this kind of does it for you. Instead of having to do each separate one, it kind of just fades it in. Okay, so you get that gradient effect. Now, see that face? And I'm telling you guys, I've done this before for hours. And I'm going to show you a drawing or a digital painting, however you might want to say what it is, where I did a character that I took literally hours shading the face. Okay, so that's good. We can go more or we can go less. Let's do the hands. So I'm going to do under right here. And then maybe over here. We're going to have our light coming from up there, so I don't want to do it way up top. Maybe about that much. And then again with our smudge. And you can smudge it in a curve. This will really give you a 3D effect when you start playing around with this. Okay, so look at that. We get our shading on our hands. Now let's do some highlights. So, again, another layer. And this one's going to be highlights. Hilts, that's fine. I know what it means. Now, the reason I put it under the shadows there is because I want this clipping mask to be on this skin and not, if I put it above that, the clipping mask is going to be on the shadows only. So it's only going to be literally be on that part right there. So I'm going to put it on top of the skin again here. And now we want to go light. So click that skin color there, go all the way up. And I don't think that's going to be light enough. So I'm going to slide it here to the left and make it quite a bit lighter. Again, on the soft brush again. And I think on top of the cheek here, I'm going to have a little light. And maybe around here. Top of the nose. You can kind of connect that if you want. Maybe a little bit on this side. Okay, on the head, maybe the very top of the mask here. Okay, and now we can go back to our smudging tool there and blend this in. And you can see this kind of a natural effect. It's kind of like putting makeup on for a lady. Your contours and your shadows and stuff like that. Now look at that. See how it's getting that 3D effect now? And then if you wanted to do higher, like if maybe the top of this cheek's going to get more, you can blend all that in first, and you can go back again and hit it one more time. Maybe this part's going to be lighter, And then go back to our blending tool and then lightly get those edges. Look at that. See, I mean, you can spend as much time as you want to kind of make it look real, and you'll be very surprised at what you can do with it. So I'm not going to go in farther than that because I don't want this, like I said, I don't want this video to be really long. So we're gonna leave the face like that. And let me show you something real quick. I'll show you a drawing that I did, the one I was talking about, that I literally took hours blending the face. Well, look at this. So all of that shadows and the lights, and it's all been layered over and over again to get this effect. And the more time you spend on it, the better it's gonna look. In the neck, shoulders, that's not even a hard line. That's all shadow right there, all shading that created that shoulder. So you can see just as much time as you want to spend on it, you can really get some really cool effects with it. Go back to our project we're working on. Okay, so I don't need this reference here anymore. I'm going to turn that off. So let's get some highlights on his clothes now. So we're going to go to clothes. We're going to make a new layer on top of that. So this is going to be S, clothes shade. Okay, so we're going to pick that clothes color, and then we're going to make it lighter. So take our slider here and go up. I'm going to give it a little more saturation and give it kind of a blue color. All right, make sure we're on our soft brush again, and then the light's going to be coming from the top left. So, oops, let's make sure we put the clipping mask on. So we'll stay on the clothes only. I'm going to make the brush a little bit bigger. Okay, so we want some light coming in right there. Maybe along this. And, I didn't mean to get some on the mask there. Do that again. I might have to do the brush a little smaller. I want it on the lip here. Okay. Maybe right there. Mask. Maybe right here. Okay. Could do maybe a little bit here, not much. On the clothes, maybe the sleeve. What else? Shoes. Maybe right there. A little bit on the edge here. Maybe a little bit here. Okay. And then I want some more, but I don't want them that light. So I'm going to take the darkness down a little bit more. And then maybe over here. Darker. Maybe right here. Okay, now let's start blending that in. Got a brush bigger. Not that big. Okay, and lightly. Start blending that in. And look at that gradient we're getting. So cool looking. Put some darks back in there by taking it from that middle, then shading it in more. Right along here, putting that in, blending this edge in. Blend that in a little bit. And this one over here. Look at that. Looking very cool. I want some more light. Make brightness up a little bit more. And again, like I said, you can just layer it and blend it. Layer it and blend it. So now you got a really light here, and then a little bit lighter, and then it gets darker as we go over here. Okay. Okay, there we go. We'll go back to the skin again. We're going to go even darker. Maybe even a black. I'm going to show you it's not going to really mess anything up. Now watch this when we blend it. See how it blends right in? And you get even a darker. Even a darker. So yeah, you can just keep on and playing with it. Let's do some in the eyes here. I'm gonna go to our eyes, make a new layer on top of it, and we're gonna do some a little bit darker. I'm gonna get some over here on the edge. Oops. I didn't set clipping mask. And watch this. Clipping mask takes it off. So even after you've already done it, it'll still take it off. Oops, don't want that on there. Now since this whole eye is on the same layer, we have to be careful with that. And then blend the eye in there. Let's get some lighter part under the eye. Maybe make another layer on top. And lighten this up. Take our slider up. Make sure it's on soft. Too big. Too small. Put this light part under. And watch this when we blend it in. Isn't that neat? It kind of gives us a gradient under the eye. We can actually make that a little bit lighter. And blend it in softly. Look at that. Just makes it look so much better. Now let's go back to white. Make sure we're on the eyes. And then we're going to go back to our streamline inker here. We're going to do a little highlights in the eyes. And I think I'm gonna stop there because I could just go on forever doing this shadow and blending in more and more and more. But you can see what you got and change that background to a black color. Looks really, really good. So that's gonna do it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Practice with that blending and shading using the blender brush there, and see what you can come up with. I'd love to see your drawings. If you go over to Instagram and post it up on Instagram and tag it with the hashtag Chamel, CHAMEL does art, ART, all together. And I'll be able to comment on your photo and tell you what I thought about it. So that's going to do it. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care, guys.